I wanted to do a little video about the Ruger LCP Lite 22LR, and this pistol comes with both a magazine disconnect safety and a thumb safety. And I don't like to have either of those kinds of safeties on any type of my firearms. I suppose they're okay for plinking if you wanted to use this for defensive use, which 22 maybe isn't the best for, but it will work. I prefer to have the gun without safeties. So I'm gonna attempt to show you how I remove these. This pistol is brand new. It is unloaded. Empty magazine, we'll just set that aside, but demonstrate the magazine safety. With this on, with the magazine out, the trigger will not pull. With the magazine in, you can get a trigger pull. The second safety is the thumb safety. It's actually not a terrible design. It's easy to sweep on. It's a little harder to get off, but I should say it's easy to sweep. It's hard to sweep on, it's easy to sweep off. So if you're drawing the gun, it's fairly easy to get that safety and not miss it, but I just did miss it. So you can see how it can be a problem. I find it's a lot easier to actually take the safety off than it is to put the safety on. The rest of the video will be just me disassembling the gun and showing you how to get rid of this safety and get rid of this magazine disconnect safety. So we're going to start with just doing a typical disconnection. You have to take the slide off. I usually just grab a small screwdriver and pull that out. Slides off. Okay, we can set that aside. We're not going to do anything with the slide. We need to pull out the frame pins here and here. Before we do that, we need to get the spring untensioned and basically take out that part of the frame. You can look up various videos on how to do that. I'm going to pause for a second while I get some tools. First thing to do is put the punch in there and remove this back plug. Use a screwdriver instead of a punch just to get it started. Take that out. There's your spring perch. It helps if you have some sort of a hook. You should probably wear some sort of eye protection. That hook is not sturdy enough. I have de-energized the hammer spring by letting the hammer come forward. That requires putting the magazine back in, carefully controlling it as you pull the trigger. You want to get this off of this little pin there. It's advisable to wear safety glasses and to let that go. Don't lose that part. You'll need that later. Then you want to take out the two pins that hold this frame in place. I don't believe you need to take out this third pin right here. This is from memory, so we will find out if I'm wrong. That front and rear pin hold this chassis in place. Now we want to work the chassis out carefully, and in order to do this you need to lift up on the plastic in this general area, usually with a flathead screwdriver if you have a small one around. The one I have sitting there is probably too large, but you want to lift up here a little bit as you pry the chassis out. There it goes. Okay, so pick up here in this area while pushing a little bit on the back of the chassis with your finger. Be careful in this part because there are springs that can go everywhere as you're doing this. Gentle. Pulling this whole chassis, this whole frame out of the chassis. There it goes. Okay, so now this is all the internals. We don't need to mess with a lot of these things in order to do what we need to do. This is all part of the trigger mechanism. We can leave that all alone. This is the safety here, and it can just come out. okay? As far as I'm concerned with that thing, you know, it can just go in the trash. That is all you have to do with that safety. Take it out, it just falls out. The pin you want to keep in, all these little parts you want to try to keep together. If they come apart, you can figure out how to put them back together, but let me tell you, it can be a little bit time consuming. All these little levers, you want to just leave those all alone. Next is the magazine disconnect safety. Right there. It's actually not in the frame, it's in the serialized unit at the top. It's this little tab right here is the magazine disconnect safety. That needs to go because it irks me. In order to get at that, we're going to have to take this part off. This will just, there's a pin here, we'll just get rid of that spring, and then we are down to this, and then we have this little pin right here. Once this pin comes out, the magazine disconnect safety will just fall out. And there's a little tiny spot here. Here it comes. Yoink, it's out. And then the question is, do I put the pin back in or not? I don't know. I guess I'll just put the pin in. But it's probably unnecessary to the function of the gun. In fact, I think I'm going to leave that pin out as well. So we'll just take the whole magazine disconnect safety out. That, and a little spring. And I just put them in a baggie and keep them available in case I ever sell the gun or I want to put it back in. Now we need to put this back together. This is the, I can't talk and work at the same time, but it's the thing that holds the slide back when the magazine's empty. This little spring goes inside here. Okay, ready to go. So that's good, that's good. Now we just need to reinstall everything. Everything looks to be in good condition. Reinstall. Trigger side goes in first. You kind of pinch everything together. I believe there's a little, the drop safety that's inside the frame needs to be held forward a little bit as you're putting the chassis together in order to, and seeing that is hard. Need to get this forward. Also, headlight makes a world of difference for any work on the guns. There is a little piece right here that needs to be pushed forward in front of the hammer as you're reassembling this. And I know this because I've done it wrong several times. Push that forward to the punch as you push down on the chassis. And it should eventually just go in. Okay, so now we have it snapped in. The chassis is all in there, and the trigger moves under the appropriate power. This thing still works. And next we need to put together the pins that hold it all in place. There were 2 pins. We want to put the pins back in. I believe the pin with the groove in it goes in the back. And you can just sort of tap it back in. There's another pin without a groove. I believe that goes in the front. If I've got that backwards, I'm sorry. I didn't pay attention, and I can't see on my video whether I did it wrong or not, but it makes more sense to me that the one with the groove goes up front, and then just be kind of careful with the brass hammer. That's nice and smooth. That's reassembled. The only hard part of the reassembly now is getting the spring back on a spring perch. That can be tricky and oftentimes takes a little bit of grief. It helps if you have a good solid hooking type device. It also helps if the hammer is forward, which it is. I'm gonna pull this out. Oh man, that's lucky. That's my first use of this nice little small dental pick, so I'm gonna recommend the Harbor Freight dental picks because man, that was the easiest that's ever been for me. I've done this multiple times. Next is reassemble the slide. Now we have a Ruger 22 Lite rack. It has no magazine in it and the trigger will release. It also has no safety, which no manual hand safety. And it's just fine to leave that open. I have another one of these with several, probably 3,000 rounds through it. It's never been an issue having that part open. Hope this is helpful to somebody that wants to go against recommendations and remove the safeties from their pistols. I've looked at the internals of the pistol. This pistol is extremely drop safe. It's at least as drop safe as any other LCP or LCP2. There's nothing special about it being 22 long rifle. There's no particular reason that you need to have all the extra safeties such as a magazine disconnect or the thumb safety. If you prefer those, that's great. If you don't want them, they're super easy for even a hack like me to take out. I hope the video was helpful. Bye-bye.